Before we start, I would like to acknowledge my chairman, Mr. Ladislas Prosper AGBESI, chairman of the Pan-African Business Forum. And on his right side, there is Mr. Courtney Priester, he is one of our executives, Pan-African Business Forum. Thank you. And I think we can start now with the press conference. Thank you.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and on behalf of the Pan-African Business Forum, I would like to send my recognize the presence of Sanko here, his secretary, and some of his executives are around us here, and other people from the PR, the media fraternity here. Our press conference today is going to be basically on a very specific issue on the immigration law in America. On the 20th of November 2014, President Barack Obama announced sweeping change to the immigration system via executive action, with the most substantial reform change extending protection from deportation to about 4.3 million more unauthorized immigrants in the US. The announcement of President Obama's new immigration law and executive decision has caused negative reaction and criticism from Republicans who are extremely upset about President Obama's executive action on immigration and are considering different means of having President's decision reversed. The Pan-African Business Forum congratulates President Barack Obama on making the announcement for a new immigration law which will bring reform to the US immigration system. The Pan-African Business Forum is fully supportive of President Obama's executive decision, as US is a nation of immigrants, and that generation of immigrants have helped lay the railroad and build US cities, pioneers, new industry, and fuel our information age from Google to the iPhone. The Pan-African Business Forum also positioned on the brutality in the US against African American and unfair and injustice killing of Michael Brown in Missouri, US on the 9th August 2014 and release of Officer Darren Wilson from the Ferguson Police Department. The shooting and killing of an unarmed black teenager by a police officer in Ferguson, Missouri on the 9th August 2014, which has sparked criticism, outrage, riots, is a case of appointment. The Pan-African Business Forum denounced any act of racism, apartheid, unfair treatment, and police brutality against African American as it defeats the very same democracy, value, and anti-discrimination law intended in the Constitution of the US. I would like, on this press conference, give you a little bit background as to why the Pan-African Business Forum, in case of a great stability in the world, driving a foreign direct investment in our continent, a better life to the socio-economic development of our continent, is paramount to discuss these kind of essential issues which is for us is quite very important. The President Barack Obama, as he came to power, we've been observing him. And we trusted him very much because we realized that his leadership is a leadership, a kind of a plane. When a plane wanted to start, it's a little bit slow. But when he gets to the air, he's more faster. He's the only president in the history of America which came to power 6 weeks before coming to power, the economy was completely collapsed. America was going through recession. And coming to power in such a difficult time, with a background of African background, he came around through many reforms, a lot of reform policies. He changed the economy. Today we have a stable economy of America. His foreign policy has not been the best, but for us, it has been the greatest one. He dealt with all we call the terrorist peace in the world. Americans feel more at peace today than ever. We realize also that the healthcare program he brought have given some kind of hope to many middle class in America. If you look at the economy for America, for the matter of our discussion today, President Obama have made the history. If in 1960, when Malcolm X have talked about the immigration issue, the abolition of racial issues in America, if Malcolm X must be anywhere today and look behind, he will know that the son of our land of Africa, for that matter, Barack Obama, have played a very great history, which will be remembered forever in the history of our life. The real issue today, in terms of what has happened, because Pan-African Business Forum position is not easy because we are just an African, because of the organization in which we come from, which fights for economic stability. That law, I must use this forum to let everybody understand that the President of America doesn't on his own have the right to make any law. Executive law. But the system, the law allows him to make that kind of executive decision, which brought today the immigration law, bring the immigration law to pass. But what I wanted to say is that I'll give you a very small statistic about the issue with the immigration in America. I don't know if any of you guys know about what we call histogram. Histogram is one of the new technology. Maybe I may not be used to it. Maybe my twins, my two beautiful daughters and my son, Aliyah, Talia, and Mahaba, should know more about it. But that technology is done by a Brazilian called Mike Craig. Mike Craig designed that new technology and is bought by Facebook 2 years ago at $2 billion US. But that Mike Craig in America is facing deportation. The new age of technology in America comes from immigrants. And everybody doesn't have a peace. Everybody is thinking what is going to happen tomorrow. This new law in the labor will bring 6.5 billion. It will create 160,000 jobs for America. And the tax revenue, 2.5 billion in the tax revenue for America. If you look at the indirect beneficiation of this immigration law, without that elective, before there was elective immigration law in America, only people with skills can be allowed to live in America. But with this new law, it covers everybody. Because indirectly, that kind of law helped to alleviate poverty in Africa. in South America, in India, and many other places. We ought to embrace it because of those people. If you look at Latin America, each year is close to 3.2 billion, which is sent home to reduce the poverty in those countries. In Africa, we are close to 2 billion through Western Union MoneyGram to our families. And if you look at all those people, if they are not there, what is going to come out of our families, our people? They support education. They support the health of their parents. They support many initiatives because they are there. So if those people have to come back, it means that we are going to feel what we call the real issue of poverty again. And that's why we salute President Barack Obama for such a great courage, that initiative, to make such a paramount decision, to, without fear and anything, to make that law, which not only to support the economy of America, because if you look at the migrants, the increase of with that law, you know that the immigrants in America, their contribution to the revenue of the economy is 6.5%. If you look at the people from descendants locally over there, people, I'm not saying that they don't work, but our people, the migration, which is all over the world, is about 253 million. But America have the biggest numbers of immigrants in the world. Therefore, such law is going to increase, not directly for America, for our continents, for South America, for other places in Europe, to alleviate poverty and give a new impetus to the life of our people. In doing that, we are worried now. We have a problem as a Pan-African Business Forum. We said that for President Barack Obama, we are worried. It's the first time in the history of America, 3 times there was a breach of security at the White House. Africa is worried. We want to call upon the CIA, the FBI, to do everything they can to protect a son of this, our continent. We don't want to see what happened to Kennedys and all those things to Obama. If it's not to take him, impeach him, or we are seeing so many signs that he is not at peace, we are worried about his security, his family. Every time, for 3 times, 4 times, it's never happened in the history of America. The White House, people breach, people go inside. What's happening over there? Are they preparing us to receive the bad news? Are they preparing us to tell us that no, it was a security breach? No, we take the CIA and FBI responsible for the security of our President Obama. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Well, sorry, good morning, everyone. I'm Courtney Priest, the Secretary General of the Pan-African Business Forum. As an American, my opinions may be a little stronger than most, being raised on the south side of Chicago through the 50s and 60s. I was born the same year that Emmett Till was killed. I was there when Fred Hampton and Mark Clark was killed. I was there when King marched through Marquette Park. I was there when Operation Push started with Jesse Jackson. And I was there when Barack Obama first ran for a Senate seat and actually ran a campaign. I was a campaign manager for his opposition. And we did win that first race. He won his second race, but we did beat him the first time. And then now, historically, those times in America, it's just not being publicized. That's really what I have to say about it. These things have been occurring all the time. There's always been the issue of driving while black, which means that because you're black, you're stopped on the street. most don't understand that African Americans are maybe 11% of the total American population. I know you see a lot of us on TV and on the news, and entertainment and in sports, but if you think about the total population, the African American is only about 11%. So the racial context there has always been there. It's not a new thing. It's a thing that just needs to be cured. With any sickness or disease, you have to find a cure for it. And racism, to me, is a disease. I agree with the chairman on the immigration law. The president did the proper thing. The Senate and the House had totally opposite immigration bills that would have, to me, shut down the economic growth of America. For the same reason that the chairman said that it's a good thing that 6 million of these immigrants are working. If they're not working, they have children in the system. And you know, American law, if you are born in the United States of America, no matter who your parents are, if you are born there, you are a U.S. citizen. So they're speaking of kicking out millions of people and leaving their children there because they can't take their children with them. They're American citizens, right? So I think the president, again, I applaud him on his bravery for pushing this executive decision through. And on White House security, my chairman there said it was more of a conspiracy theory having the 3 potential break-ins or 3 breaches to just demonstrate that it will happen. When the president first ran in 2008, we all feared for his life. We actually feared for our life working on the campaign. Because we know that, again, the issue of him running for president had so many negative connotations from the others. But we're just happy that he's been able to serve the 6 years without any true attempts on his life. And we will, again, appeal to the CIA, the Secret Service, to strengthen their outlook on things. Otherwise, we'll have to go back to Chicago, and we can take care of them there. We'll open up for questions.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chairman. That was great. Thank you, sir. Mr. Chairman, I'm going to come back to Africa because I knew that you had very strong views on what was going on with the Kenyan president, Uhuru Kenyatta. Yesterday he was acquitted by the ICC. And I was looking at an article this morning that America has refrained from commenting on the acquittal of the president. Kenyans are very happy. I mean, celebrations started yesterday, celebrations are going on today. The president couldn't even give the speech yesterday. I mean, he spoke for about 2 minutes and he left the State House and they went off for a party. I think early last year, you had very strong views on what was going on. So I wanted to ask you, do you still maintain the views that you had on the wrongful indictment of Uhuru Kenyatta by the ICC, even now that Uhuru has been acquitted? And I do remember that you had said you were going to mobilize hundreds of businessmen to close down businesses on the day that Uhuru Kenyatta was going to appear at the Hague. Thank you.
Thank you. For us, is a great joy. It's a victory for Pan-African Business Forum. It's a victory for Africa. It was good that people will understand that we are not just an organization who is walking on the street. whatever we meant is come to pass. It's the first time we engage with the ICC. We understand the parameters in which the hosting was happening. I realize a lot of people are not taking us serious. But we also respect the ICC, the International Criminal Court, because it's a court to regulate people who are doing wrong things, rightful or wrong people. That ICC will recognize it. We want him to still play his greater role, but we don't want him to be interfered by politicians which will use it for their own interests. That's why the issue of Kenya is quite very paramount to us. We have our great friend, I should be mentioning his name here, Kaufman from the International Criminal Court, who have been advising us and always give us a bit of understanding of what is happening over there. And we believe that so far as the case is a winnable case, ICC will always bind by his rule of law. Now for us, we have a lot of trust into the ICC. We have a great trust into ICC that at least sometime we can still continue trusting them. It's not, we are now trying to understand that it's not only about African leadership. I'm changing my view because we said we are going to see the process to the end. Although we did a lot of lobby on the ground, we speak to people, we talk to all legal people, we support Uhuru Kenyatta always. We went to the African Union, we mobilized, we spoke to people. But when we got the good advice from the people, from the ICC, from some of the great lawyers who advise us that you people are not expecting law. Let the people be subjected to the law and let's take it from there. If you refuse to stand by in the law, it means that you are offending the law. So we believe that Uhuru Kenyatta going back there, it was a victory for us. Whoever is being called by ICC must go and present himself to them, because we are building some kind of confidence in them, and we are looking also forward in a few weeks by the 12th, the good news which is going to come from Africos, from the youth league over there. We believe that the ICC is going to do the good thing, because we are waiting for them. We don't want to preempt the judgment before it comes out on the 12th of December. But we're working on the ground. We work with very solid people, great advisors. If for nothing have happened, it means that we were trying to put all the business on hold in the continent. That one for sure, everybody was waiting for it. But we got a very good advice from great legal team from ICC all over the world, who said, you have to be subjected to the law of the International Criminal Court, and which we believe in it, and we are bound by it, and we will subject ourselves into it anytime there is an issue like that. And we embrace ICC. For us, we congratulate them. It's not a victory for Uhuru Kenyatta, it's a victory for ICC, it's a victory for everybody now, and we're looking forward for more things to come out. We have other people who are indicted in North Africa, all over. We're looking at to see the fairness of the ICC. That's what I can say. Thank you.
Good morning. I just want to raise one or two issues. I think my first one will be more of a comment than a question. Unfortunately, we are meeting today in this press conference after we, as South Africans, have commemorated the late, our icon, former President Nelson Mandela. I'm saying this in the backdrop of what has transpired in America in relation to racism, oppression, and seemingly discrimination of African people. I wonder what is Martin Luther King saying in his grave after 50 years when he received the Nobel Peace Prize. He was fighting for this non-racialism. As the civic movement of Johannesburg, we took to the streets some time, a month ago, in support and in coordination or working together with the Pan-African Forum, Business Forum, just to ensure that we raise a few concerns. So I think at the end of the day, there was a time when we under apartheid, we had solidarity from people all over the world denouncing apartheid and such things. We seem to be having a serious concern around globally issues of race. It happens in soccer. FIFA recently there was that. What are other issues that we need to really engage on, and what is the new policy of United States in particular after the killing of the two people, and the policy that say they are trying to change? Because at the end of the day, this universe called Earth belongs to all of us, as enshrined in the Constitution of South Africa, in our democracy, and from the Freedom Charter that said at a time South Africa belonged to all people who live in it, black, white, regardless of religious or any affiliation. Thank you.
Well, it is very difficult to live up to Madiba's dreams or even Dr. King's dreams. The reality of what's occurring now, again, as I said in my first statement, is no different than what was occurring in the U.S. apartheid back in the 200 years ago, right after slavery. We had Jim Crow laws, the same laws you had here. They tried to separate. We were colored. I mean, they did the same thing occurred here. Fortunately, the only thing that ended it there was civil war. But it did not change the mindset. So how do we change the mindset of people? Because that's what racism is about. Racism is almost inherent. If you think about it, people want to be around people who are similar to them. And they don't really want to be around people who are different from them. And that's where the problem comes in. In human nature, how do you, in general, we're not talking about us socialites. We socialites. We want to be where everybody is, you know. But when in society you have those separatists. It was the Nazis with Hitler. It's the Ku Klux Klan. It's the Boers, the Afrikaners when they had their particular party. So how do we fix that? I believe Africa is a Christian nation, South Africa, and so we believe biblically in how it's supposed to be. But how do you spread that? You know, how do you make that change in the world where we all can accept each other, you know, and go our separate ways together, actually. You know, so that's where the issue is. It's not, I don't think that there is a particular fix for it right now. You know, as I said earlier, it has to be a cure. You know, so, and I think part of the cure is having discussions like this, where we'll talk about it, but it also has to go outside of here. You know, it also has to go, because even South Africa has issues on racism. True? Do we admit that? Okay. Yeah. So, as the Rainbow Nation, we still have some things to work on.
I wanted to also use this opportunity because it's like Mandela said, long walk to freedom. And there's so many other, that freedom is an autobus with many legs. And in those legs, one of them is how we strategize on that route to canvas these kind of issues. We're talking about the liberation of South Africa. And we've been here, the racism and all those kind of things. We'll start with creating a enable environment of peace, reconciliation among ourselves. We will urge SACO. We are taking our own initiative to make sure that there must be peace with COSATU. ANC, the tripartite alliances, must be strengthened. Because the only way we can have a strength to deal with racism, to deal with the other issue, to live, because how do we call it? Mandela said that we need to live in harmony, in a great nation where white, black, everybody to live together. And I remember your speech that day, never, never, never again. I saw a friend in Qatar, he played your statement several times. He played it on their TV. And they played that several times. Never, never, never again. Because we need to live together. We need not to look at whether you are short, big, fat, or whatever. We need to live it. But it starts from how we tolerate each other. How the tolerance between each other. If in South Africa, they saw in COSATU the issue in the parliament, the various issues of those cannot be solved. How can we move forward to deal with the major issue? And that's why for Pan-African Business Forum, we are urging a reconciliation. We want openly Noza back. We want peace and reconciliation over there. We don't want any problem. We don't want any fragmentation within all those associations. The workers must be one institutions. They must sit down with ANC. Everybody must be together. There must be reconciliation. Reconciliation must be our motto for next year. And Sanko, I told you before, you are the civic work. You can lead it. We will give you the support. We spoke to some of our members, former head of state from Africa. They're ready to come to lead that kind of negotiation, to bring peace in the tripartite alliances. They said, we are gone. How if it's like you are in a plane? They said, before you save the child around you, you have to save yourself first. But if the tripartite alliances is destroyed, there is no life. Thank you.